Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. As always, a free way to support the channel is by leaving a thumbs up. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. It says the highly anticipated Bitcoin correction has finally begun. This was written when Bitcoin was just starting to slope down in price, dropping from 19,300 to 17,800 and then started to recover. And this says Bitcoin is around $18,000, but we're actually a little higher than that at the momento. Chances are that the drop in the price of Bitcoin is a result of retail traders, that's everyday normal people, taking profits at levels between 18,000 to 20,000 US dollars, which is a mistake. According to a recent analysis by the team at Glassnode, 75% of long-term Bitcoin holders were in profit when Bitcoin was above $19,000. Chances are that some have decided to offload some of their Bitcoin at these levels to protect their gains. Also a mistake. However, according to Plan B, the guy who made the stock to flow model, some of the Bitcoin being sold now will most likely end up in the hands of institutional investors such as Grayscale, PayPal, Square, and MicroStrategy. Never, ever forget, this is not financial advice, but if you are currently in possession of something that could potentially be the world reserve currency, why are you selling it off for US dollars? Just going to throw that out there. The other part being, we know for a fact because we've seen the news, we've seen the charts. I've made sure to go over them. I believe it's PayPal and Square alone who are buying up 900 Bitcoin per day. You know what's also 900 Bitcoin per day? The amount of Bitcoin that's actually being created by the network. So two companies alone are buying up all the Bitcoin that's being produced per day. You know who's also buying twice as many? Grayscale. I think it was, 14,000 Bitcoin that came out of the machine or something like that last month, and Grayscale bought like 27,000. So any coins that are being sold off are just being pushed into the hands of very rich people. So once again, not financial advice, but make sure that you understand. If you happen to sell off your Bitcoin, and in the future, in 10 years, if Bitcoin is $1 million to $10 million, you have no one to blame. I'm sure someone just said it out loud, but yourself. Plan B made his forecast via the following statement that also warned that once this Bitcoin was scooped up by institutions, it would be locked in cold storage forever. Yeah, that's part of the reason. People, I've seen some comments on this channel and the other one with people asking me, what happens when they have the Bitcoin? How are they going to use the Bitcoin? It's kind of going to be the same exact way. If you hold gold before 1971, you put it into a vault and you issue that much paper money based on how much gold you had in the vault. If you have Bitcoin in the vault, you'll be able to issue paper currency or probably digital currency because we'll be in the far future at that point, based off of the amount of Bitcoin that you have. So that's the idea. A lot of people keep throwing this thing at me, well, Bitcoin's too slow, it's 3 transactions per second. And I'm like, yeah, that's because you're living in 2012 and you're not listening or understanding how Bitcoin is actually going to be used as a reserve currency. Gold was used as a reserve currency. Bitcoin's going to be a reserve currency. He said, and I do quote, watch how traders, S-coiners, and weak hands transfer their Bitcoin to strong hands like Grayscale, PayPal, Square, MicroStrategy, etc. These Bitcoin will disappear from the market and go into deep cold storage and stay there for years. Remember when we were talking about those companies in Switzerland who were locking up Bitcoin and putting them into mountains? Why do you suppose they're putting it in mountains and not on a computer? Anyway, here's the actual tweet from Glassnode talking about people potentially having sold off their Bitcoin because they were trying to make a profit. If you are not a professional trader, please stop trying to time the market. Stop trying to time the dips. Stop watching other YouTubers telling you that they know how to time the market and they made X amount of money and therefore you should do the same. They're helping you lose your money. If you are in the business of accumulating Bitcoin and or Satoshis because you believe in the long-term prospects of it, maybe trade an altcoin instead. Stop giving your Bitcoin away to the very, 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 very rich. Here's the Plan B tweet with a gigantic arm crushing a string bean arm. So yeah, just thought I'd throw that out there because there's a lot of truth in this. I don't know if people needed that extra boost of confidence or what it was. A lot of people who sold their Bitcoin at $200, $800, $1,100, $1,500, $8,000 are a little upset with themselves at this point. So don't be one of those people if Bitcoin happens to go up to 100,000. Just throwing that out there. Anyway, moving along. Next up, banks love Bitcoin. In his latest opinion article, Ruchir Sharma, Morgan Stanley's investment management's chief global strategist, has made the case for Bitcoin becoming the world global reserve currency. I repeat once again, banks are obsessed with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has proved itself to be a supreme store of value in this 19-ridden world. But can the world's first cryptocurrency flip the US dollar? Yes. That's yes. To become the global reserve currency, Morgan Stanley investment. He was apparently had an opinion piece. He was candid. He talked about reserve currencies, 100 years, US dollars, but apparently was pretty upset. Every time I make a second video, my throat is like, nope. I think it's just a continual talking over the course of like a 40-minute period is probably doing it. Criticized the US dollar and how much had been printed during the course of 19. He also mentioned that the US dollar faced competition from the euro and the renminbi, but global market confidence in the latter two was also bleak. This meant that the U.S. federal government could continue to abuse the daddy dollar, status of the greenback unabashedly. Where's the other part where he's yada, yada, yada? It's a long interview. Talk about the decline of the U.S. dollar, the Treasury. Mr. Sharma, in his Financial Times opinion piece, blasted the U.S. government's dovish economic policies. He said these policies would ultimately lead to the dollar's demise, which in turn would equally lead to Bitcoin taking up the reserve currency mantle. He said, operating on a peer-to-peer network, ungoverned by any state, cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin are being pitched by their champions as decentralized, democratic alternatives. Understand, these are the people who have made economic policies for as long as we can all remember. Every single day, there's someone coming forward from a bank. It's always a rich person and then a bank person every day talking about Bitcoin is going to do this. Bitcoin is poised to become that. World reserve currency, something reserve this, hitting new heights. $300,000, $15 million in 10 years. It's always something along these lines. Just keep that in mind, once again, 10 years from now, when all this really has officially taken shape. Here's the article right here from the Financial Times. I can't go to it because they want me to pay to be able to read the article. I guess it's just 2020. It says, will Bitcoin end the dollar's reign? Yes. Short answer, yes. Long answer, yes, yes, yes. This is exactly where everything is going. We have heard this news far too many times. It's not even like it's just from one bank at this point. If it was just from one bank, I'd be like, okay, well, that bank's kind of crazy. But when like 8 banks all say the exact same thing, they're all preparing for the demise of the dollar and the continual rise of Bitcoin and the dropping off of gold and the rise of Bitcoin. It's the same thing over and over every single day. We keep getting this news. That's why I'm confused why anyone, me personally, why anyone would be selling off their Bitcoin. What aren't people getting about where this is all going? It's clear as day. Like, it is bright. It is clear. It should be clear for all of you as well. Anyway, that's the Bitcoin world reserve currency news that we keep getting every single day. And further ado, all that stuff, moving on. Here's a really stupid one. Digital asset exchange Bitstamp has apologized for sharing a crypto market report that it claims does not reflect the firm's views or values. In a tweet from Bitstamp posted today, the exchange issued an apology for posting Firm Masari's crypto thesis for 2021. A report from founder and CEO Ryan Selkis. The report refers to XRP as toxic waste, with Selkis calling Bitcoin forks, Stellar Lumens, and Litecoin piles of SH. You know the rest of the word. The report said, these are toxic assets propped up by regulatory capture, and they go against everything that got me into crypto. Sure, Bitstamp has removed the original tweet it posted following the report's publication on the 8th of December, referring to the parts of language and content in the report as inconsistent with the firm's values. Funny, but you still posted it. I would assume someone read it and then posted it. Logical, right? I assume they've read it, agreed with what was inside of it. Like when I retweet stuff, it's because I'm usually like, that makes sense. I kind of believe in that as well. So yeah, the firm added that it believed some aspects were disrespectful towards part of the community. What probably happened was, here's an assumption, people screamed at them, maybe deleted their accounts, so they messed with the company's money, and therefore they were like, wait, we got to stop this. Or behind the scenes, some stockholder, firm holder, whoever, somebody in power was like, we hold XRP and Lumens and Litecoin. Why did you post that? So it never, ever, 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 it never has to do anything with an actual apology. It never has to do with anything, oh gosh, no, XRP is actually amazing. Why did we post that? Somewhere behind the scenes, their money was messed with. And they decided to retrace, go backwards because they were like, oh, sorry, yeah, we also have money in that as well. I'm not sure what it is. I'm really not actually sure what it is with grown men fighting each other about cryptocurrencies as to which one is this and this one is toxic waste. If you do not care about it, don't speak about it. It means something is really bothering you in the back of your head, that you think that at a certain point XRP or Litecoin or Lumens could potentially take over Bitcoin. Probably not going to happen, but there's a reason why people continue to write these articles. This has been happening for years. It just doesn't make any sense. I think maybe people in the cryptocurrency space are very bored. What was the guy who was calling himself Satoshi Nakamoto? I think people just like go get a hobby, like go ride a bike, ride a motorcycle, like take pictures at the top of mountains, like find a new thing to do, because it's always very weird. Here's the actual, oh no, that's something else. I thought I had the actual thing of them calling it toxic waste. I kind of want to go and read what the comments were for that posting, because I'm sure someone has screenshotted it. People screenshot everything. Anyway, I feel like I had something else to say, but it left my mind because, sure, why not? I'm certain behind the scenes their money was messed with, and they were like, oh, delete. Let's move on. Next up, more digital currency companies are joining the crypto bank train in the U.S. In recent months, companies like Kraken, Avanti, and Anchorage filed with the country's regulator for a banking charter. Following the information on Wednesday, Paxos has become the latest company filing for a national trust bank charter with the U.S. bank regulator. The Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, according to the cryptocurrency custodian, the national banking license comes as an effort aimed at enabling them to realize their mission of The national bank license comes as an effort aimed at enabling them to realize their mission of improving the financial market infrastructure while also allowing a method for streamlined transfer of assets. The letters B and S are floating very evenly in front of my eyes right now. With the approval, the company will become the first ever digital asset custodian with a state and national banking license in the United States. It's money. They don't care about the streamlining of assets. market infrastructure, making things quicker, faster, and easier. It's about them trying to find their own position and digging roots into the ground in a potential multi-trillion dollar asset class. Everybody within the cryptocurrency space has been applying for a bank charter. I think Coinbase was one of the first ones who did it as well. They're all trying to become banks and or custodians and basically trying to push out the old legacy system. But what happens if Bitcoin stays around for 100 years and you made sure that you were the very first companies to get into the space, the custodians, the one who had all the backing and all the support? Well, then you become one of the biggest institutions on the entire planet. So it just kind of makes a lot of sense. I think it's always weird whenever there's like a press conference that they're like, we're doing this to help you. We're doing this because we want to make sure that payments are easier for you. And it's like, no, you're doing it because you want to become mega rich. But can't knock them. If I had a big company like this as well, I'd probably be doing the exact same thing. Here's the blog post for why Paxos is seeking a national bank charter. Money. It's always the answer. Let's move on. Here's a really interesting one, and I'll tell you why it's mega interesting. 4 U.S. lawmakers want Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin to rethink his rumored crypto wallet regulations. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that these probably aren't rumored. If all these people came forward, because they probably know that something is afoot. Representatives Warren Davidson, Tom Emmer, Ted Budd, and Scott Perry sent a letter to Mnuchin on Wednesday expressing their concerns about rumored self-hosted wallet regulations that their secretary apparently intends to implement in the coming weeks. CEO Brian Armstrong of Coinbase tweeted last month that Mnuchin was planning to rush out these new regulations, which would apparently require cryptocurrency exchanges to verify know your customer data for self-hosted wallets before they could send cryptocurrencies off of their platforms and into the wallets, i.e., if you are using a cryptocurrency exchange within the United States and you're trying to send crypto to your wallet, the cryptocurrency exchange would ask you for the information to the actual wallet that you're sending it to. Let's say you're trying to take money off of Coinbase and send it to your mother in Guatemala or in whatever country. They would need her information to know exactly that it's going to her wallet and all that other stuff. But why though? That's kind of the question. It's basically about control. So that is, the answering the why right there. But it's interesting to see that there's so many people who are coming out against this. Because, according to Wednesday's letter, this potential regulation would hinder American leadership immediately. Stop. Full stop. Bam. Immediately. America already is America. France with their new taxation law. Many other countries are already so far behind when it comes to being a leader in the cryptocurrency space. If you told people that you had to have information for every single cryptocurrency wallet within the United States, nearly overnight or the night before, once this stuff actually becomes law or is actually announced, people would rush and take all of their money off of cryptocurrency exchanges. I'm going to assumption and say that these 4 individuals are either in the cryptocurrency space, probably hold some cryptocurrencies, or maybe even have an economic interest in Coinbase. An assumption, but it seems, why would you be doing this otherwise? According to the potential, hinder American leadership, preclude U.S. actors from participating in the space, and undermine the Treasury Department from stopping illicit actors from exploiting the financial system. I'm not sure if the U.S. is trying to make sure that they're just not a global leader in all of this, but this is exactly where it's heading. It is every single day. Whenever we get regulation or lack thereof regulation news, it is fascinating to see these things roll out in rapid succession. To see the countries who are like, you don't have to pay taxes. If you do pay taxes, it's 2 or 3%. You pay no taxes if you're a company for the first 5 years while you're here. Just all these great, amazing things when it comes to the cryptocurrency space. And then you got the other side of the coin where people, you want to know You want KYC for where those coins are going, and I assume that's across the board. The same exact thing with France's new law. If someone's sending $2, you want to know exactly who's getting that $2. And I said it in the last video as well. Make sure that you follow that exact same trend when it comes to the US dollar. If you have to know where that crypto is going, if it's going to another wallet, it's going to another address, and you need identification, same exact thing. If I go into a store and I'm buying an iced tea for $1, make sure that you also have to have my ID as well, and look at how fast that entire system crumbles, because it's nonsense. You need people already have to do KYC AML on the cryptocurrency exchange. If they're taking their money off, their money, it's then going to become illegal unless you know exactly where it's going after that. Their money. KYC AML already done. Anyway, the point is, so 4 lawmakers are or have written to Mr. Mnuchin about all of this. I don't, why be so adamant in trying to make sure that you're not a part of the new system? Like, what is this obsession? The US dollar is going to fail. This is no longer a thing. If it was just me saying it, I would find aluminum foil and put it on my head, and I would talk to all of you. When you get every single bank saying the exact same thing over and over, the US dollar is going to fail, it's going to fall 10, 20%. Every bank is coming forward talking about that gold is being sold off for Bitcoin. Like, it's not even something else. Like, it's not like people are selling off their gold and they're buying soybeans or they're buying up real estate. They're selling it off and buying Bitcoin. It's clear. If I know and you know where the trend is going, why don't lawmakers ever really know? Like, they keep putting these prohibitive things, so like, it's like in India. Like, you clearly know what that cryptocurrencies are going to take over the entire world. Why make sure that you make sure that no money flows into your country? Oh gosh, my blood pressure. Anyway, that's the Mnuchin news. I don't even know what to really call that. It's going to be a fascinating next 4 years. Like, it is really going to be absolutely phenomenal to see the space evolve, continue to spread out across the world, and just which countries are going to do exceedingly well when Bitcoin passes by $300,000 and is higher and stronger and worth more than the US dollar. It is going to be very fascinating. I'm ready for it. And anyway, let's move on. It's not just me, right? This is every single day. Like, there's always some type of, this is why I said stupid news. It's like, what are you? Oh gosh. Okay. Next up, IOHK, the development company behind Cardano, has named a DeFi lending protocol as one of its so-called Project Catalyst ideas, sending a strong message that a decentralized finance application could be coming to the project's blockchain. It's not a could, it's a when. Every single person, company, institution within the cryptocurrency space, they're all obsessed with DeFi. I've even seen DeFi promoted by other big companies talking about it's going to be the new wave, it's going to be the new so-and-so. Cool, amazing, awesome. Every single blockchain mimics every other blockchain. We've heard proposals for Bitcoin to have ICOs, for Bitcoin to have STOs, for Bitcoin to have DeFi on top of it as well with another layer. It's happening across the board. Everybody wants to do it. It's no longer if Cardano is going to, if DeFi does become one of the majorist things in the world when it comes to finance and Cardano doesn't have it, well, then they lose. Of course, they're going to have a DeFi platform. In a series of in a series of Twitter posts, what was that? IOHK said Tuesday that several promising ideas tied to Project Catalyst would be revealed in the coming days. Project Catalyst is a public fund that is intended to bring research, social experiments, and community consent, there we go, to establish an open, democratic culture within the Cardano community. Here's the blog post. For it right here from IOHK, Input Output Hong Kong, for those of you who did not know. Of course, this is going to happen. I'd be shocked if there was any cryptocurrency project right now who was like, we don't need DeFi. We don't need things on top of our platform. This is also going to cause more usage, more interest. It's always they implement DeFi, the same exact thing with Tron, and then we get news that they're starting to lock up Bitcoin on these DeFi platforms, which is something that I also forgot to mention in that other video where I was talking about the amount of Bitcoin that's actually lost and gone and held by institutions. I didn't even go over the amount of Bitcoin that's actually tied up into the other blockchains, which would have made the number a lot higher as to the amount of Bitcoin that's not in active circulation. Anyway, so yeah, of course, DeFi is coming to Cardano. I'll be honest with you. I would love if they did it within the next 3 to 4 months. Papa needs some new shoes. So it would really help if they... I have a feeling this is probably why they also release this information. I think everyone's trying to do as much as they possibly can right now before the parabolic run really takes place, because that would... If Cardano is able to... Can you lock yourself up? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it has to be locked up if other people are building on top of your platform. That would cause a huge constraint in the amount of Cardano actually floating around as well, which might then get us to that $15, $20 Cardano, which would not be bad. Anyway, that's the Cardano news. And let's move on. I'm still rattled and shaken by that other thing we were just talking about. Fidelity Digital Assets has announced that its institutional customers, rich people, will be able to use Bitcoin as collateral against cash loans. Though Fidelity offers various services including crypto custody, this is the first time its clients will be able to use Bitcoin as collateral. This means that investors will be able to deposit Bitcoin as backing whenever they obtain a cash loan. Here's the crazy part. Due to Bitcoin's volatility, loans will be backed at a loan value rate of 60%. Oh my gosh. Don't even have to read anymore. A lot of institutions are trying to find other ways to use Bitcoin, and we keep getting loans as a way of that as well. They're kind of obsessed with being able to issue debt against Bitcoin. This is going to be a big thing. Debt is not going to simply disappear because we have Bitcoin in the future. People are going to try and find ways to rehypothecate, which also isn't going to work because we're going to see the number on a screen and know that they don't have that much Bitcoin. But also the creation of other things or loaning against or debt issued against Bitcoin is also going to be quite big. It's already a pretty big service as it is right now. I think they potentially probably only do a couple million per day, but this is still quite intense for a relatively new space. Here's the actual blog post for it right here. I think this will only... I think this is a test, of course. But I think this will only really pick up when Bitcoin hits insane numbers, because the amount of people who are going to want to take loans against Bitcoin or for Bitcoin are going to completely skyrocket. We saw that in 2017. Please don't take out debt to buy cryptocurrencies. Nobody knows where the market is going to go officially. This was a major thing in 2017. Where people were taking out huge loans to buy coins that they shouldn't have been buying. A lot of them weren't even buying Bitcoin. They were buying Bcash. They were buying all these other coins. And then we had a lot of videos of people sitting in cars crying. That's not a joke. Saying that they lost their life savings. We had $20,000 in the bank. My wife is going to kill me. So just thought I'd throw that out there. Don't take out debt to buy Bitcoin or any other coin for that matter, simply because we do not know where the market is going to go. Everything we've had has been a projection. Multiple projections in the same direction, but still projections. So thought I'd throw that out there. Anyway, Fidelity is getting deeper into the Bitcoin space. I assume we will get numbers about this. It usually takes about 6 months. Once they release a product, and we see how much money they've been making or haven't been making, if they'll continue on with it, and if it does pick up, and if Fidelity is making hundreds of millions of dollars from this, then I always want to say countries. Other companies will start pushing out the exact same thing as well. I don't know what it is. Every time I have to say company, I always want to say country. It's really weird, and I don't know why I do that. Anyway, yeah. And to finish things off, it says Bitcoin is not very private. Had no idea. despite the perceptions to the contrary. The full history of every transaction on the Bitcoin blockchain is public for anyone to browse. Coin swaps are a type of transaction that boost a user's privacy by making the history much less straightforward. They said a big day for Bitcoin privacy and fungibility. This was tweeted by Bitcoin privacy developer Chris. It should be Belcher, but I kind of want to pronounce it differently. Belcher. I'll say Belcher. When announcing the transaction, Belcher claims it's the first of its kind sent on a Bitcoin testnet. Coin swap transactions look like the transactions are going from one address to another, but they're actually being sent somewhere else. Further, coin swaps can be implemented in such a way that they look just like normal transactions, making them invisible, unlike the most popular privacy tools currently. Years ago, one of the main ideas for the Bitcoin cryptocurrency space was that many coins would have private transactions. As it's looking right now, it looks like Bitcoin is potentially more poised than other coins to be a world reserve currency, a world this, yada, yada, yada. So a lot of the focus has been on Bitcoin for private transactions. One of the craziest ideas that was proposed many years ago, and I'm not sure if this is going to happen, and I probably shouldn't be that skeptical because everything else that these people have been saying since 2012 has completely come true. It's around the year 2030, roughly around that time frame. Bitcoin has a massive price. Everyone's using Bitcoin. Bitcoin's a world reserve currency, yada, 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 et cetera, et cetera. But also the idea that Bitcoin would have private transactions and not just one layer around the blockchain, potentially 50 different layers and side chains that would allow people to basically use a currency, Bitcoin, at will whenever they wanted, that no one would be able to stop. You already can't stop it, but it's more so this idea of imagine a world where KYC and AML just don't ever come into play. It's weird for us to imagine. Imagine a world where Bitcoin is just simply floating at will, however you want, however they want, at any given time. This is one of the original reasons why I thought banks would actually fall in love with Bitcoin. Banks have an issue right now where they are in the news for laundering or have a shipload of gold and or other sometimes. Banks have been caught with powdery substances that one can breathe in, one might say. And so the idea for me is that I thought the adoption would explode because of this. The idea that banks and institutions and rich people as well, you have to understand, this is a reason why rich people are also buying paintings for $117 million because they end up, I forgot what it's called. You put them into like not tax havens, but there are like ports. I think they're called free ports. You put your item into a port, which then incurs no taxes. You kind of just leave it there. And then when you sell it off, if you sold it for $250 million, you never really held it and it was never in a taxable jurisdiction. And therefore you kind of just make the money and you only have to pay Sotheby's or Christie's, whatever the runoff was from your profits. So we are going to have these. This is not a if. We are going to eventually have private transactions on top of Bitcoin. And I wonder how the world is going to function in this way. I don't think I have the mental capacity to be able to really see that much because I only know a world where transactions are followed. Transactions are so-and-so. If you are transferring more than 10,000 into a bank, you are, put onto a list. You're, all these things. So it's one of the things that's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. And thought I'd just throw that into the video because these are quite important. And the future is going to be crazy. I want you all to really understand that. Anyway, that's that news. I'm exhausted. I have a lot more to do. I have to make more videos for the other channel. There's always something to do. Never any rest for the wicked. I do hope that you all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.